Welcome to the Innovation Meets Leadership podcast. Real inspiration for real innovators. If you're looking for innovation and leadership transformation, your journey starts now.
Welcome to the Innovation Meets Leadership podcast. I'm your host, Natalie Bourne. I would love for you to help us spread the word by leaving a review wherever you listen to podcasts so that other innovators like you can find us. And don't forget, we are now on YouTube. So I want you to head over there, hit subscribe, and you can watch this episode on YouTube as well. I want to welcome the 60 plus countries that are listening from around the world. Well, today my guest is Stéphane Dubois, and Stéphane is the founder and CEO of Pointer Pro. It's an assessment software platform that helps professional services companies to automate their advisory processes. Stéphane is passionate about the use of technology to build professional relationships with people at scale. I love that. Thanks for joining the podcast.
Thank you, Natalie, for having me.
Well, you have said some really interesting things that I want to talk about a little bit with you today. But first, tell our listeners a little bit more about what your company does.
Yeah, our company, Pointer Pro, in fact, we started off a bit more than 10 years ago, so already been a while. And we started as Survey Anyplace, but we have renamed recently to Pointer Pro. So in the beginning, we were a survey software tool where we focused really on the respondent experience. So to give the respondent, it's the one who takes the survey, to give him or her better experience, and in that way, to be able to collect more and better data. Yeah, so that was in the beginning, and then back then also the main use case was like customer satisfaction surveys, like probably you all know, or your listeners all know, because you get those from time to time in your inbox. But then we that market was quite difficult. I mean, there's a lot of competition in survey software space. Then in 2019 we shifted towards assessments. Well, it's not a complete shift, because I mean it's still related, of course, to surveys. But what we have added is the personalized advice reports. So we use the result of the questionnaire to give personalized advice. And since then, the company growth has been accelerating. And now we focus less on customer satisfaction, but more on automating advice, like for professional service companies, to really help them digitize their advisory process, and thereby making them able to scale their business faster without always having to recruit new people. Yeah.
Wow. That's really powerful. And it's just interesting to hear that you made that shift and kind of moved away from what you were historically doing and started shifting into this new field. You say something really interesting. You say that consultants should stop charging for time. Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, I've been a consultant for quite a long time before I did this for 15 years, like in large companies like PwC and a few others. And yeah, those were like back in the day. We had always had these like large projects, like with hundreds of thousands of man days worth of work, and those were mostly charged time and material. Now, while in some cases you don't have any other, I think that when you can move to a more outcome-based business model where you charge for the results and not for the hours or the days that you have worked, that's a better situation to be in, both for the consultant and for the client. Yeah? For the client, for example, for me, we've recently done a repositioning exercise with a marketing consultancy, and they offered me a fixed price, and they said, like, do you have a problem to receive fixed price instead of time material? I said, not at all, because then I know what I'm paying for, and I also know what I get exactly.
Yeah. Exactly what outcome they're driving towards.
Exactly. Yeah. So he showed me a deliverable of a previous project, and he said, like, yeah, this will be similar for you. And so I had an idea of what I would get and what I pay for it, of course. And then for the consultant also, it's kind of better, because Of course, when you do time and material and you apply like efficiency improvements, that's not very beneficial, because then you will be able to charge less time. So that's not good. But when you are going to results based billing, then you are really incentivized to apply efficiency improvements, for example, by like through digitization or other means, because then by like making it more efficient will like lower your workload, and the results will stay the same, so you will be more profitable. So that's the upside for the consultant.
Wow, that's, it's interesting. When I first started out as a consultant, I had a friend that had done a consulting business for a number of years, and I was just talking to him on Zoom, and he said, "I think you're doing it all wrong." I said, "What do you mean?" And so he gave me a couple books to read. One of them was called Million Dollar Consultant, and part of that, I think, is helping people understand that there are some tangible things that go into consulting, but then there are some intangible things as a consultant that you bring to the table that other people, can't just go and hire someone off the street to do. And so let's talk a little bit about how hiring by outcome might actually encourage the innovation piece of consulting.
Yeah, I think when it starts all, I would advise or have to give advice to consultants. It starts, of course, with like specialization, like doing not everything for everybody, because that puts you in a less competitive position. So start really specializing in what you're good at, and then you can start to package, reuse things, and then come to that outcome-based business model. And then the innovation can start. Well, it can already start before also, but then you're really incentivized to innovate. For example, what I said, try to do the things more efficient and achieve the same results. Then your profitability will go up, of course. But also like to innovate, like for example, by recruiting new people. Well, not that recruiting new people is innovating, but like for example, recruiting people abroad, or virtually that work for you in countries where the cost of labor is more interesting, because there are always tasks that other people can do at a better rate, and by combining that like intelligently, that's also kind of innovation, I think. Not a lot of consultants do this. You can again improve your profitability, because of course for the client the result will stay the same.
That's, what you're saying is really, really brilliant. I think a lot of consultants try to either do it on their own when it would be more efficient for somebody that has a different skill set, right, to be able to do that. So typically, there's certain projects that I may work on that, like research, right? Just hours and hours of research may not be my thing. But there are people out there that will do it at a better rate, that really enjoy it. So outsourcing the pieces of your consulting arm that are not things that you're naturally inclined towards. And then when the research comes back in, actually sense making and processing that information and deciding what information to put forward, like that is the part that I actually enjoy. I don't enjoy searching, for everything and finding it and reading it all, but I do enjoy finding when the best things are found, how do we distill that down to the information that people need? So I think that's a really brilliant point in terms of how can you, as a consultant, leverage the skills that you have, but also leverage a team or outsource pieces where it may not be your core skill that they're hiring you for anyway.
Yeah, exactly. And after a while, you can build a network of those people, and that's really a competitive like asset, and to have that, because you don't want to rely on one person, of course, but if you rely on different like subcontractors or small companies, for example, we have people in El Salvador, we have people in Romania, and in some other countries, the work is kind of interchangeable, not completely, but we have the network, and when someone would leave or fall out or so, we can still take someone else from the network. So it's really a competitive differentiation.
Wow, it's interesting. Like, let's kind of talk about how that leans into this democratization of knowledge. So I know that this can be a big challenge for consulting firms as well. How do they kind of take all this stuff and actually turn it into something that's a force for helping long term?
Yeah, I think democratization of knowledge is already like happening for I think for tens of years. When I started the company, I'm an engineer as an educational background. So I had to refresh my skills because the technology has changed quite drastically since I graduated. And I could do that because of the internet and all the free information which is available, all the knowledge, the open source software and everything which is available. That is really much more powerful than, let's say, 20 or 30 years ago. But the knowledge is one thing, but it's like consultants are still needed to apply that knowledge to generate meaningful business results for the clients. Because the problem for the clients, and I'm talking also for myself as a client in certain domains where I'm not so specialized in, for the clients there's overwhelming amount of knowledge or books or websites, everything, and everything is available at a reasonable small cost or even for free. But then you still have to apply it, and then the consultant comes into the game. And to apply it, I think what customers expect from the consultant is to filter that knowledge and to just present the things that are relevant for your situation, the situation of the client, to get to the business results they're looking for. So that's the role of the consultant. But there also part of that can be automated. If you have a model where you can always ask the same or similar questions and give advice depending on the result of those questions, then part of that advisory process can also be automated, like with a tool of ours or similar tools.
Well, talk a little bit more about that, because I know part of what you look at is how to turn this into advice, kind of almost like an advice engine, right? That consultants can use. Talk a little bit more about what that could actually look like.
Yeah, for example, we have a customer who is an ex banker for large banks like Merrill Lynch, and he used to be doing private banking for wealthy individuals. And now he has created a website called freefinancialplan.com. And there you can just take a questionnaire. There's quite some information that you have to give, like what is your income, your assets, and so on. But then at the end, it generates a free financial plan where you get detailed advice on what to invest in, like in the stock market or something else, and what to do. And of course, in that advice there are links to service partners that he has affiliated with. But he has turned his expertise into he has put his expertise into a tool generating the advice automatically, and thereby also democratized the advice, because people who could not afford normally like a private banker, because you need a certain net worth, otherwise you're not getting in there. So all those people can go to the website and take the assessment and get already some useful advice without private banker.
That's huge. How did you start to arrive at this idea that you could that this advice piece, this advice component was such an important part of the overall journey, right, for a consultant?
Yeah, I would like to say that there was a big master plan strategic thing behind, but in fact it was just customers that were asking it to us. So it's not. But in general, I mean, it's always of course good to listen to customers. And so when we had just a survey tool, like without the advice reports, and we had some customers that asked us, could you not like also develop a report? And then we did it by custom development, and then also using other tools that generate like reports, but then without the questionnaire, and then linking the data together. Quite a hassle to do it, and then we did it the second time because the second customers ask it, and then third time, and then afterwards you start to think maybe it's interesting if we build it, and which we've done in the beginning of 2019.
Well, what I love about that story as well is in what's so important in innovation, as we know, it's one, the ability to be interconnected with our clients, our customers, but also the ability to pick up patterns, right? And once you start to see that pattern, I think the important question is always, is it pervasive enough, right? So N equals many, not N equals one, but is it pervasive, right? Am I hearing this pattern a lot? But also, there's an urgency to the pattern, and are people willing to act on it now? I think that those are just some interesting innovation principles as I listen to that story.
Yeah, we did some research also in parallel, and we have seen that on the one hand you have the survey tools or form tools like Google Forms and so on that exist. On the other hand, you had a few like report builders that also exist. We have also interconnections like Zapier, which transfers data from one application to another. So if you combine all those, of course, you had the solution. But there were no tools that had everything in one application, which makes it, of course, easier to set up for the clients, and that's why we decided to create such a tool.
I love that. What would you say as you think about this, maybe formally or informally? What are one or two of the just innovation principles that you kind of hold fast to as you think about creating new things, whether it's software or otherwise?
I think listen to the customer, but that can sound like a generic advice. It's not only listening; it's really taking action, being proactive, to talk to your customers. Of course, everybody talks to the customers, but to really invite them for specific interviews where you where the agenda is really to talk about their needs and how they see the future of your product or services, and then you ask questions in a specific way instead of which features do you want to have. It's more about which things do you want to achieve with this product, and then you have really to ask enough questions to uncover their needs, and then to translate that into features, or if you're a consultant, into a service offering is then the second step. I think that's very important in innovation, more important than the actual research. I would put on a second place, and the more desk research or competition research or technology research, of course, that plays also a role. But I think I would first like doing like talking to your customer, but really in a structured way and according to a specific methodology. You have, like, for example, as a methodology, you have the jobs to be done method, which is very good in having some structure to get to know those needs.
That's really brilliant. What you're saying there, and shameless plug for my friend Jim Kalbach. He has created a kind of an updated rendition of Jobs to be Done, which is a great book. That, to your point, what you're saying there, that helps you to think about things, to frame things in a way where you have a structured conversation, where you're kind of walking the customer through to understand better the problem that they're trying to solve, or the job that is trying to be done there. This is amazing. What final thoughts would you have for our listeners today?
I think if you're in professional services, so next to the transition from time and material services to results-based or outcome-based like a business model, you also have to think about creating a model, a kind of performance model, to measure where your customers exactly is in maturity ladder, or which maturity level they have in your specialization domain. Yeah, for example, if you're like a cybersecurity consultant or consulting firm, you need to have like a kind of maturity model, or you can call it also differently. But then when a new prospect comes across, that you can immediately, by asking a number of questions, see where he is. Is he like at level 0 or 1, or is he already more advanced? And then depending on his score or level, you will give different advice. So I'm not saying like in the second phase, of course, you can put that into digital tool like our tool, but even without tool, it's better to have it like without tool, to have it on paper or on PowerPoint or wherever, than not have it at all. Yeah, and most consultants implicitly have it in their head, because if you are done like 5 or 10 cybersecurity projects at same type of clients, then you know what you see as things that are like not completely secure. For example, antivirus is missing. If that's the case, then you're probably at level 0. But like other things, and then you can list those and come with a model. Doesn't have to be too sophisticated. It can also evolve in time, and you get more expertise or experience. But it's very important to have that and to go to new prospects using that model. That improves or increases the credibility that you will get. So I mean, that would be my advice, and don't overdo it. And you can really start with it today, I would say.
That's awesome. That's so brilliant. Where can people find you? Where can they follow you?
Of all the social networks, I'm most active on LinkedIn, so you can just search for my name and then connect. I will be happy to exchange experiences with your listeners, and then also the Pointer Pro website, pointerpro.com, where you have of course a tool, but also like use cases and some interesting content about digitizing professional services.
That's so perfect. Thank you so much for joining us all the way from Belgium today. This has been amazing.
Thank you, Natalie. Thank you for having me.
Well, to our listeners, thank you for joining the Innovation Meets Leadership podcast. Remember, don't just get out of the box, break the box and set it on fire. Let's go transform something.
Thank you for joining us for the Innovation Meets Leadership podcast. Be sure to subscribe to our show on iTunes. Follow us on Instagram or Facebook at Innovation Meets Leadership, and visit our site at innovationmeetsleadership.com for more innovation resources.